Giants fans, it's week 3. The Giants are playing the Texans, both 0-2 teams. I'm John, and you're watching True Blue Review. Alright, so I don't want to talk about the Dallas game. We already talked about that. We said we were going to get past it, we were going to file it away, so let's do that. Let's move forward to this game. The first thought I had about the Giants playing a team that hasn't won a game yet was this happened a couple times last year with San Francisco and with the Chargers, and Giants didn't fare too well. I kind of feel that way on this one also. But let's break it down a little bit, and maybe if I give you a little information, you might feel differently. So I guess what I wanted to do first was I wanted to compare the two teams a little bit to find out why they're 0-2 and where they sit with everything. So I think that the first thing to do is just start with points per game. Both are averaging under 20 points. The Giants are at 14 points a game, and the Texans are at a little over 18 points a game. Okay, again, it's going to be hard to win when you're under 21 points, 21 points, and you even need more than that in this league right now. Offense, something I want to touch on a little bit today, in fact, actually, is maintaining a balanced offense. We don't hear that much anymore. It used to be pretty common back in the day, but I don't know how things have changed enough to where you shouldn't still have a balanced offense, rushing and passing. Okay. Interestingly enough, I did look into it. So as far as balanced offenses go, the Texans are doing fairly well. They're looking at 45% rushing, 55% passing, and I can see that with a guy like Deshaun Watson. Yeah, you're definitely gonna have more of a premium on passing with him. But that, again, that's fairly balanced. So let's compare that to the Giants right now. The Giants going into this game are 31% rushing, and 69% passing. Okay, that's a terrible imbalance. We've got a running back that was our number 2 pick in the draft, in Saquon Barkley, and then obviously OBJ's making a lot of money, and certainly you want to try and get some passing to him. The funny thing about it is Saquon Barkley actually has more receptions than Odell does. All right, we'll get back to that a little bit. But so there's definitely an imbalance, and I think that's something the Giants really have to focus on. All right, so third down conversions. Giants are actually converting 40% of their third down conversions, whereas the Texans are only converting 32%, and they're ranked down there pretty low in reference to that. We still need better than 40, but I'll take 40. Red zone scoring. Now, I think every Giants fan is going to say this offense can't score inside the 20-yard line. Flat out, period. That's it. Okay, the Giants are the lowest in the league at 25%, whereas the Texans are at 33%, and they're not much better. They're ranked 30th. Again, so you've got two 0-2 teams, and now you can kind of figure out why they're 0-2. Okay, offensively, they pretty much stink. But I would say that the Texans probably, granted, we've got Barkley, we've got OBJ, we've got Evan Ingram and all this, but the one thing that we don't have that the Texans have is a mobile quarterback. And the way the offensive lines are both working on both teams right now, a quarterback with mobility is going to win out over what Eli's putting out there right now. So we'll get back to that when we start talking about the Giants' offense and where they are. So let's run over the Texans' offense. Deshaun Watson. Last week he had a good week in passing, 310 yards against the Titans. He also had a good week in rushing. 5 rushes, 44 yards. Okay, so we're starting to see a little bit of this familiarity as with Dak Prescott. You've got a quarterback that you're going to have to contain. Let him pass. Let your secondary deal with it. And hopefully Janoris Jenkins will have his head out of his ass this week and we won't get that big play right off the bat. Okay? Actually, with Eli Apple out, more than likely B.W. Webb will be getting pushed pretty hard too. And so right now, Deshaun Watson has 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the year. But the rushing thing, I think, is the big thing with him. Speaking of rushing, let's go to their rushing, or their running backs. You have Lamar Miller, who's really their lead running back, but also you've got Alfred Blue. Okay, so they're a nice tandem. Alfred Blue's 6'2", about 245 pounds. He's got a little bit of height on him, and Lamar Miller's 5'8", about 240. But anyway, both fairly solid running backs. Okay, so, and they're leading the league in rushing at 157 yards a game. And this is the second game, going into the third week. So, all right, we'll see how that moves on. But in receiving, DeAndre Hopkins, he's a solid receiver. He does have some injuries, so I would look for Will Fuller to get a bit more of the work. But, we'll have to see how that works out. Their offense has given up 7 sacks. So our defense should be looking at that. What opportunities can we gain? When we start talking about Giants defense, we're going to talk about pressure because they may be feeling it, but they're not giving it. Okay. So anyway, Texans defense. So far, they've got 3 sacks on the year, 3 forced fumbles, 2 of them recovered, and 1 interception. Okay. I think what we're really going to have to look at is not much different from Dallas in the respect that they're going to try and beat up our offensive line pretty bad. That's obviously where our weakness is when defenses are scheming on us. Okay, so I'm going to look for J.J. Watts, Clowney, Merciless, Cunningham. These guys are going to just be bearing down. They want to get to Eli. That's the key, man. Everybody is thinking about that face that we saw on Sunday night when Eli had to get up. I think he just saw his career right in front of his eyes. And it scares me a little bit for him, too, because now he's going to be even more... we have to see if he's going to get past that. That's what all those checkdowns started big time. And, I don't want to see Saquon Barkley have more receptions than Odell or Evan Ingram. Okay, 18 receptions last game? That can't work, all right? Also, with the idea that the Texans defense is really going to be bearing down on Eli, let's just assume that that's going to happen. I think Tyrann Mathieu, I think you got to keep an eye on him. If he gets hold of a few balls, and he's got some interceptions in his career, so if he gets hold of a few of them, you might see him run at least pick up some yards coming back. So yeah, I think it's just something to keep an eye on. Let's get to the Giants offense. They stink. All right. There's so much potential there, and it all starts with the offensive line. It should be noted that this morning the Giants are replacing Eric Flowers with Chad Wheeler, at least for this game. See what Chad can do. So that's that at least they're doing something. Okay, another thing too, and we mentioned this at the post game of the Dallas game, is John Halapio is out and John Greco is in. Greco's got more, he's a vet, all right? So he's got some experience. Maybe he'll calm down the line. Maybe he'll take a little bit of hold of that. We thought Nate Solder was going to do that, and I'm not really sure how effective he is in doing that. Nate Solder's got to worry about Nate Solder right now, okay? Because there's a lot of crap flying by him. Another thing to take note of, too, last game, right? In fact, in the pregame cast that I did, I talked about, we should keep an eye for Shane Smith to come in and maybe help out with some of the blocking. Well, they definitely put Shane Smith in, and he missed everything. He missed everything. Somebody forgot to tell Shane Smith to show up at the game, so now he's out. Okay, so I can't remember who they brought in his position. They just signed another guy this week, but I can't remember who it is. So anyway, there have been some changes with Greco and Wheeler on the offensive line. Hopefully that's going to shore some things up a little bit. We'll have to see what Wheeler can do. It's only his second year. But I want to give you some of the rankings of the Giants offense just so you understand how bad they are. And we already know this, but I'll throw them out there. As far as points per game, 14 points per game, and they rank 30th in the NFL. Thank you. Number 28 ranking is yards per game at almost 290 yards per game. They rank 28th. In rushing, they rank 28th with almost 75 yards a game. 75 yards a game. They put a lot of money into bringing in an offensive line and Saquon Barkley as well as Stewart, and we already had Gallman in, and I thought that we were moving towards a more run-oriented offense. Run the ball, open up the passing game. Well, it's not working out right now, so they may need to rethink that and really go into rushing the ball. Okay? Again, we're talking about balanced offenses here. You got 31% rushing, 69% passing. Let's balance it out a little bit. And granted, they have been behind. Oh, another note in reference to the offense. In the first 2 games of the season, they've scored 6 points in the first half. And I want to say like 79 yards, something like that. 79 yards in the first half. I can't remember. But it's terrible. All right, this is terrible. So, and it doesn't need to be that way. Let's see. In reference to passing, 215 yards a game, they rank 24th. Again, we've got an offense that's ranked in the lower 5 offenses of the league, basically, 5, 6. And then number 7 in passing attempts per game. Again, we're talking about that balance there. And then number 28 in rushing attempts. Again, balance. Let's talk about Eli. 1 touchdown in the first 2 games and 1 interception. So that's a 0. Okay. And 503 yards with a 69% completion ratio. He's been sacked 8 times. And that is 73 yards total that have been lost in sacks. Okay. In reference to hits, the last game at least, I know that there were 8 hits on him. I don't know how many in the first game that there were. And a ton of hurries. And the guy's got no legs anyway. So, I'm worried for him. I think that if he goes through another game where he's got 6 sacks, then I really think we have to start thinking about what we're going to do with the next quarterback. Because I'm just not sure that he can take it. I mean, he's never had any major injuries or anything. But this is a whole different ball game right now. So, let's see what happens in this game. Saquon Barkley, 29 rushes for 134 yards, but let's not forget, one of those rushes was 69 yards for a touchdown. Okay, so again, his rushing average is really low, and I don't think that's his fault, because I'm going to tell you one thing about, if there's one thing that everybody has found out about Saquon Barkley, is the first guy to hit him is not the guy to tackle. Okay, this guy pummels people. When you go at him, he goes right back at you. And you got to love that guy for this. But you got to get him in rhythm. You got to get listen, if the offensive line starts actually getting a rushing game, they're going to get confidence. All right? And Eli's actually going to be safe. And we are going to open up tight ends. We're going to open up Shepard and OBJ, and I think things are. But we got to get back to rushing the ball. This team has not had a rushing attack in years, and I was under the impression that that's what they were working on. Okay, so I mean, let's do this, right? 16 receptions on the year. I don't know how many yards, because it's the fact that he's got 16 receptions in 2 games. Your lead running back shouldn't have that many receptions. All right, and OBJ has 15 receptions. That's your money man. All right, that's your money man. And by the way, OBJ's longest reception is 24 yards. How does that work out? It doesn't. It doesn't work out at all. Okay. Enough said about the offense. We know we've got some offensive line changes for this week with Greco and Wheeler. Let's hope that they step up. And protect Eli. But also, I think that the coaching staff can protect Eli by changing up their rushing attack. Okay, and just have some patience. All right. Let's see, in reference to Giants defense, all right, guess how many sacks? 1 sack in 2 games. 1 sack and 1 interception. Doesn't work. There's no pressure whatsoever on the quarterback. There's no pressure. We need these guys to step it up. Oh, they're stopping. They're limiting the running game. And actually, you know what? They're keeping the games within the distance for the offense to win the game. So we can't beat the defense up that much. But at the same time, the defense needs to beat somebody up rather than just themselves. Okay, right now they're doing no damage. So they need to create opportunity for us. We need to get some turnovers. We need to get some interceptions, some fumbles. We've got to do that, okay? Injuries. Let's just go to injuries. Olivier Vernon's out again. Why does this feel like last year? How many games did he miss last year? Olivier Vernon's out. Eli Apple's out. For at least for the week. He'll probably be back next week, groin injury. We know Halapio's out. And, a nice surprise, Kalen Clay isn't playing. Okay, because apparently he's got an ankle injury or something like that, or whatever, wrist or something. So we'll probably see Shepard, Beckham in the back for punt returns. But listen. One more thing I wanted to really point out is, and again, there's more exposure for me on social media I'm watching Twitter more than I did last year, and Shermer's taken a beating this week. I mean, this whole team has taken a beating, but I'm not really comfortable with the idea. And there were people out there that were comparing Shermer to Macanudo. Okay, listen, there's no comparison. Okay, Shermer has a better way of running this team, and I think it's totally unfair. I really do, and I think we just need some patience. And the one thing that's playing in our favor right now is the NFC East is mediocre. Now, it's not going to stay that way for long, but the fact that the Skins are playing the Packers, the Skins could more than likely lose that game. And if we can pull a win out of here, at least we're sniffing it. Okay? This is really a must-win game. It's really a must-win game. And I think we just, if we can pull this game out, at least it gives us a little bit of light. But, we'll see how it goes. So, listen, I want to thank Tin Cannon. I'm drinking coffee this morning, not beer. I wanted to say congratulations to our good friends Dan and Heather, who got married yesterday. That was a fantastic wedding. And I want to thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Twitter. And Rich and Sabrina, we're praying for you and we're wishing you the very best. So I'm out till post game.